The FIA has just delivered a brutal penalty to Lewis Hamilton, and nobody, absolutely nobody, expected it after what was already a disastrous weekend for Ferrari and their star driver. What happened on track in Zandvoort was dramatic enough, with Hamilton crashing out in spectacular fashion and throwing away what little momentum Ferrari had managed to build. But the true damage came long after the checkered flag had fallen. Just when Ferrari thought they had seen the worst of it, the FIA dropped an announcement that completely flipped the narrative. New and compelling evidence had surfaced, turning what many assumed was a routine yellow flag violation into a full-blown scandal that sent shockwaves through the paddock. The FIA laid out their case in stunning detail: telemetry traces, GPS data, throttle inputs, brake pressure readings. Every shred of data they could analyze pointed in the same direction. Hamilton had not slowed enough under double yellow flags during his reconnaissance lap. At first glance, it might have looked like a minor oversight, a simple lapse of concentration in a chaotic weekend. But once the FIA presented their findings, it became clear that this was no small matter. This was something bigger, more damaging, and much harder to explain away. What began as an accident-filled weekend has now snowballed into one of the most consequential controversies Ferrari has faced in years, and the punishment they handed down is a 5-place grid drop for Monza, the worst possible timing for Ferrari's most important race of the year. This penalty isn't just about numbers on a piece of paper, it's a psychological bombshell. Monza is Ferrari's temple, the sacred stage where victories are supposed to be immortalized, and now their hero will have to start on the back foot before the weekend even begins. Instead of writing a story of redemption after Zandvoort, Hamilton and Ferrari now find themselves at the center of a storm that has only just begun. The leaked data, which has been circulating rapidly through the paddock, has only made matters worse. Every rival team has seen it, every journalist has picked it apart, and every critic now has fresh ammunition. The FIA's report itself read less like a ruling and more like a forensic investigation. It was precise, meticulous, and utterly damning. They concluded that the deceleration from Hamilton was not significant, the braking effort was minimal, the intent to comply was insufficient, and the rules had been clearly broken. With those words, Ferrari's golden hopes for Monza instantly transformed into a high-stakes gamble, one that will now unfold under the heaviest of spotlights. Hamilton will start 5 places further back on a track where qualifying positions are critical, and he will do so under the glare of every camera and the scrutiny of every rival who has been waiting for a moment like this. And that's the real sting here. The entire trajectory of Ferrari's season may now hinge on a single mistake made on a reconnaissance lap, a lap that Hamilton probably considered routine, unimportant, not worth thinking twice about. That split-second miscalculation has now rewritten the script for Ferrari's season. What was supposed to be a weekend of rebuilding confidence has become a nightmare of mounting pressure and collapsing morale. Ferrari are not just unsettled, they are in disarray. When the team arrives at Monza, it will not be with the swagger of a team ready to conquer their home race. They will arrive carrying penalty points, shattered confidence, and a garage filled with doubt. And here lies the brutal truth. Excuses are running out. If Hamilton cannot rise above this storm in front of the Tifosi, then when will he ever? Because the Zandvoort crash was not the knockout blow. It was what followed that truly devastated Ferrari. The FIA's ruling transformed disappointment into chaos, and it did so in a way that no team can easily recover from. This was not a clumsy pit stop, a careless wheel-to-wheel touch, or a bad strategy call. This was deeper, sharper, and built on an unassailable foundation of cold, unflinching data. The FIA examined throttle traces, brake pressures, GPS overlays, gear changes, delta times, every last detail of Hamilton's lap. Their conclusion was merciless. Hamilton failed to lift sufficiently for double yellows. Ferrari tried to mount a defense, arguing that Hamilton was already preparing to enter the pits, that his deceleration was controlled, that there was no immediate danger. But the stewards didn't buy it. They compared his data against that of other drivers, cross-checked the evidence, and delivered a simple verdict: violation. And then came the kicker. The stewards revealed that the original penalty under discussion was not 5 places, it was 10. Only after reviewing the finer details did they decide to reduce it, acknowledging that Hamilton had made some attempt to comply, however minimal. That revelation alone was enough to send shockwaves through Maranello. Their entire defense crumbled instantly. Monza, which was supposed to represent the rebirth of the Hamilton-Ferrari era, has now turned into a masterclass in crisis management. A 5-place grid drop at Monza isn't just frustrating, it's tactical chaos. Ferrari's entire strategy has been derailed before the race has even started, and Hamilton's silence after the ruling told its own story. He offered no excuses, pointed no fingers, just the quiet acknowledgement that the damage extended far beyond what had happened on track in Zandvoort. Inside Ferrari, tensions are running high. Sources close to the team say nobody in Maranello expected the FIA to produce such a detailed and damning report. It wasn't just a penalty, it was a dismantling of their defense line by line. No appeals, no loopholes, just cold, hard facts. What stings even more is the timing. The FIA waited until after the race to make the announcement, dropping the bombshell when everyone least expected it. It felt like a delayed punch, catching Ferrari completely off guard and leaving them scrambling for answers. And now, there is no escaping the consequences. Ferrari, already buckling under the weight of a turbulent season, must now face their most important race with one hand tied behind their back. Hamilton, still adapting to the unpredictable SF25, an unstable car that has left him struggling with braking zones and corner entries, must now start in the dangerous chaos of the midfield. He will have to pick his way through traffic, avoid the carnage of Monza's opening corners, and somehow salvage points from a race that was supposed to be Ferrari's crown jewel. But make no mistake, this situation is about far more than 5 grid positions. It's about morale, confidence, and the fragile psychology of a team on the brink of collapse. Hamilton had spoken optimistically of progress, of adapting to Ferrari's unique challenges, of finding rhythm and consistency. But this penalty cuts through all of that like a knife. The FIA made their stance clear. Rules are rules, no exceptions, no matter the circumstances. And so, Ferrari arrives at Monza already bruised and battered. This was supposed to be their stage of glory, their redemption story, the weekend where they silenced the critics. Instead, they arrive wounded, demoralized, and under the heaviest of microscopes. The burden on Hamilton's shoulders, already immense, has now doubled. For Ferrari, the mission is no longer about winning. It's about damage limitation. For Hamilton, the challenge is not simply to overtake 5 cars. It's about saving the narrative of an entire season that is rapidly spiraling out of control. And that is why Monza has now become the ultimate test of character. Because if Hamilton can rise above this, if he can cut through the field and deliver a performance that defies the odds, then this weekend will not just be another race. It will become a pivotal moment, a turning point, a reminder that even in the darkest hours, he is still capable of magic. But if he fails, if disaster strikes again, the scars will linger far beyond Monza. Ferrari has not just lost 5 grid places, they have lost their safety net. There is no room for error anymore. Monza will determine whether the Hamilton-Ferrari era begins as a story of rebirth or as a tale of regret. And for the Tifosi, the most passionate fans in all of motorsport, the equation could not be simpler. No more patience, no more excuses, no more promises. For them, Monza is everything. Either Ferrari delivers, or they risk losing not just the race, but the faith of the people who live and breathe red. This is the reality Hamilton and Ferrari now face. A single moment of hesitation under double yellow flags has transformed into a crisis that could define their season. And as the engines roar to life at Monza, one thing is certain. Every lap, every move, every decision will carry the weight of expectation. Because this is not just about 5 positions on the grid. It's about pride, redemption, and the survival of a dream that is already hanging by a thread.